Hey folks, this is Chi Baker from Portland, Oregon, and just wanted to go over a couple things about staining, and hopefully this video gives you a couple of tips. Again, learn from my mistakes so you don't have to do the same things that I've stumbled over. Save you some time, maybe some money, certainly some aggravation. So this is the outside trim for the tiny house windows, and what I've done that you've seen from the previous videos is I pre-made these instead of going up on a ladder being 12 feet off the deck and trying to individually tack these on to the outside of the windows. I made a box of them, and interesting enough that making the box overall, I think it's about an hour time to make the box in terms of drilling the holes and putting it together, but I think ultimately it actually saves time, so I would highly recommend it. So one thing I've learned about staining, and basically what it is about trying to reduce have it the most efficient in terms of the least amount of time for the best result, and part of it is having the outside surface area present well. And so what I have found is to start with the outside side, and again, I'm doing the whole thing versus doing the top side, letting it dry, and then doing the bottom side or whatever side you want, basically because I just don't have that amount of time. Maybe some of you do, I don't know. The other thing that I'm using is this Varathane Ultimate Spar Urethane, and it's oil based and it's for exterior, and this is a clear gloss. I wanted to have something that still showed the grain of the wood, that darkened it a little bit, kind of gave it a little bit of that wet look that I like. I know some people are using the Minwax. Basically, if you buy it in a gallon versus a pint, you save 3 times as much money. So, because I'm not independently wealthy yet, I want to save myself some ducats. So, you don't need to watch this whole video, but essentially what it is just getting the top coat on, and I've already done one layer and let it dry overnight, and then I sanded it this morning. And the sanding tool I used is one of these sponge sanding blocks. They work great. This is 220. I labeled, I don't know if you can see, but I labeled the side just so in the future I know what grain it is. So the first coat I put on was a pretty thick, heavy coat, and then this morning I came down, sanded it, and now I'm putting on the layers. So you will be able to kind of feel and kind of hear the sound of it in terms of, have you got a good coat on? And particularly with these second coats is, you don't need a super heavy coat, thick coat, but you want to make sure that you're getting a good coat. And one thing that, some people won't bother sanding. Basically what it does is it just gives it a smoother finish. I think it also helps the layers adhere better. And here's a good reuse tip. The drop cloth that I'm using is one of those old plastic shower curtains, and plastic is something we obviously want to reduce the use of, or reuse the use of plastic in our ever struggling environment. It's probably one of the more unhealthy products, mostly because of how much we use. Obviously, heavy metals and stuff that are poisonous are bad too, but we use so much plastic. And so I cut out the magnets because I always need magnets. My kids love magnets. So I cut those out of the bottom, and then I just do it in my paint box. Just got all my painting, staining supplies, and using it today, and it's great. The butt ends really soak in that stuff, the urethane. You want to kind of really glob it on and kind of press it into the wood. You see, I'll kind of constantly going back over them just to get that smooth finish. So the last time I did this, I didn't pre-construct the boxes. I stained all the wood first and then constructed them, and that worked fine. This actually, seemingly after I've constructed it, it has expedited the staining process, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's because before I was staining, 8, 10, 12-foot boards, and maybe that's just tedious. I don't really know, but it actually seems that I'm moving faster with the staining process by just having them pre-built. So again, you're looking at kind of how can you increase your efficiency of building things. So I'm assuming most of us just don't have, eons of time on our hands to just kind of dawdle around. So I've done the 3 sides, I've done the top, and then the inside and outside. Now the bottom. Again, here you can maybe see the pocket holes. And I may do a short, quick video on it, maybe not, I don't know. I'm gonna film a caulk. Probably something that, particularly if you use exterior screws, isn't necessary. As you may have watched the previous video, I ran out of exterior screws, and so I had to use interior screws, which aren't coated. And they'll eventually they'll corrode, and if they're exposed, they'll kind of bleed through the metal, show through, which is kind of ugly. You don't really want that. If you fill them in, there's obviously no exposure to them, so you probably won't have that problem. Even with when I used exterior screws, there's one over there, but I caulked them in. It's a quick extra step. Again, a lot of it is the old saying of a stitch in time saves 9, so being kind of preventive, especially, this is this whole, so I've done now all the sides. I'm gonna flip it over, give it another quick brush, make sure the drip, there's no crazy drip marks. Also kind of resting on the sawhorses. Oh, and those who are wondering, that's Bob over there. He hangs out, keeps me company. I'm a martial art instructor. If you feel like watching some of the other videos on this page, on this YouTube channel, get some tips on self-defense, self-protection. So I brushed it, kind of cleaned it back up again, and now it's ready to hang out. This spar urethane has a nice, really low VOC. I've got a fan running. You may be able to hear it in the background. But notice I'm not wearing a respirator, and you don't really get a whole lot. I mean, I've got some windows open and stuff to get some airflow, to kind of decrease it all. But and that's it. So pretty quick, pretty easy. This is essentially a 4x2 frame, and you know, what was that? Took me about 10 minutes. So it's again, the process of staining it with it built actually seems to go faster. And again, what I recommend is you do the outward face first, and then you do all the other faces, and then you flip it over and just do a quick back brush. And what I found is that the drip marks are really minimized, and what you're gonna see in terms of the actual facing of it looks great. Doing it in a different order, I found kind of getting some weird drip marks, having to sand it back down, all that stuff, and that was kind of a pain in the butt. So hopefully this is helpful. Again, if you found that this is useful, please like and subscribe if you want to the channel. And if you want, you can hit the bell so you get some other videos as I shoot them. And if you found a different technique that works better, please feel free to write in the comments. Again, I'm always interested in learning and hearing what other people are doing. And if I can be better from tips that you find, that's sweet, because the better and more efficient I am with my life, the happier and more time I have to do other things. So, all right guys, be well, be safe, and stay warm and dry.